We're going live. Hello, everybody. So we're live. Yeah, Tamara. It's funny. I'm just looking at our comments, but before we look at the comments, before anything, let's just address the amazingness in the room, okay? Because we look at the comments. Before anything, you have to go on mute. Let's just address the amazingness in the room, okay? Because we look at the comments. Before anything, you have to put your mic on mute, like your video on mute. Have you done that? There's a bit of a delay. Yeah, so you should put your own laptop or whatever you're on mute while I'm talking, and then we'll figure it out. But as I was saying, we have a special guest. Those of you who joined us the very first time, as I was saying, we held a live show, you would have seen Dr. Carolyn Van Putten in our audience. And this was the first time that we actually met, but you definitely made an impact because during the first sound circle, you read an excerpt from Kindred. And after the first live show, people were like, who's that person? And can that person reach me for the rest of my life? And can they like, who is that person? And so it was really just wonderful to see like all of the wonderful feedback around your voice and your timbre and all of those things. And you've been with us since the beginning. So I'm so happy. Yeah, like people in the comments are now getting very excited. And I'm just going to stop talking because then I'll just be like, yes, you. But let me, we need to figure out your audio. Did you figure it out?
I think I did.
Okay.
I did. Yes, it should be solved now. I don't hear the problem I was hearing. Do you hear it?
No, I don't.
It's done.
So can you just tell everybody who you are and why you're so amazing?
That is such a funny question. So, okay. I am a woman who was influenced by Octavia E. Butler's writing when it was live happening in the world, and it changed me in ways that I didn't even begin to realize until I started rereading it with the slow read. And I've just been astonished and delighted at how much has opened up for me through this whole experience. So that's a little bit about who I am and how I got to be here. It's there's so much that could be said. So if there's something specific you want me to address, but that's the real deal right there.
Well, that's good. I like starting with the real deal. So I'll just ask people who are participating in the slow read. I mean, if you have questions for Dr. Carolyn Van Putten, like maybe, can you tell me what you do with your voice when you read and why it stirs my soul? Maybe like that would be a question. But just put that in the comments. You can obviously we'll answer whatever you want and skip whatever you want because it's not about, you divulging your whole life to us. Okay, so let's start with our hellos. Hi, Regina Renee. Reading until we begin. Glad to be here. Cool. Hi, Michelle. Welcome back. Well, welcome back to many people. Nina, you're going to start reading. Oh, yes, because I was on my way. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Catherine. Getting your notebook ready. Yes, it's all about getting your tools. Made it in the nick of time. Awesome. Hi, Jersey fam. Welcome back. Hey, Jenny and Carol. And yes, I know. It's quite the treat. So very excited. Hi, Christina. And okay, and now we get into the like, yay, Dr. Van Putten, the best narrator, big smile. Awesome. What a wonderful treat. Yay. So yeah, this is all so wonderful. So hi. Okay, cool. All right. So, we are still moving our way through Clay's arc. It's wild. I'm reading it much slower than I've read other things. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just headspace or whatever, but it's kind of a bit of a wild read. So for those of you who are in the chat, why don't you start by just saying where you are? What page are you on? Maybe what chapter you're on, so we can all sort of find our way. I'm gonna just grab my book because I literally just got home from work. Thank you, Tommy, for getting us started. What's that? Thank you. I'm on past 7. I finished chapter 6. So
Is this is this with The Great Escape?
You know what? I don't even remember. Oh no, it's not there yet. I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
we will see. We will see. So here's the thing: like we're all sort of reading together. May I call you Carolyn?
Please.
Thank you. We're all reading together, and we're kind of paced, but it's kind of hard to avoid spoilers because we read at different paces and things like that. So I'm not too fussed about it. It's kind of understood that those things might happen, and there are escapes of every kind in her book. So I'm not fussed.
Exactly.
Yes. So we have, people are sort of further ahead. So present 8, almost at past 9, starting chapter. Okay. I'm wondering if folks are finding it difficult to slow down with this one, because I noticed that the plot advances pretty far. Where are you in your reading? Carolyn, where are you now?
Part past 11.
Okay. Yeah, who's there? So you're where Jersey Femme is, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. So what we usually do, okay, so people are just like, okay, all right, that's cool, that's cool. I can accept that I'm behind many, and that's okay. We're all okay. So, Carolyn.
Yes.
How long would you like our first reading sprint to be?
Oh.
Yeah, what do you think?
We're fond of 20-minute starts, I think.
Okay.
I think we like that.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm just going to grab the timer, and then we will do our first sprint. This is so exciting. Okay, Tommy's chuckling in the background because she knows me. Okay, so 20-minute timer, and let's use this. This one's kind of cool. Thank you, baby. So we'll use this one and then share the screen. And let's see. Okay. That's not what I want. That is what I want. Okay. Happy reading, everyone. See you in 20 minutes. Okay. So folks in the chat, what I'd like you to do is look at the last sentence you read, or the last sentence you read with your eyes or read with your ears, and choose a word that spoke to you and put that word in the chat. So Carolyn, feel free to choose a word and talk about your word, or how are you, in what way does the last passage you read, in what way does it move you right now?
I was first almost slammed with the realization of the importance of touch. And having had that be so important to me for so long, and having forgotten that it was in the book, it was as if I was seeing through her eyes what I have become, which without her having known anything about me or anything about anything that's happening now. So that was the first thing that really just, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm finding the tone of this book, like I'm finding Clay's arc so very intense, much more than any of them, I think, so far.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I just read right now, like I'm at the end of 8, present 8, and I ran into my first favorite paragraph, which is on page 55 of my book. But I'm feeling like it's anxious. There's a lot of anxiousness. Like I'm moved by the desire to survive. And I'm also moved by the way that Octavia Butler puts people with different concepts of survival together, right? And places them in conflict with one another when they're all looking for the same thing, survival, safety, community, all of those things, but they're all going about it in different ways, and they have very different views of what the end game ought to look like. Yeah. So right now I feel like I'm dealing with like a conflict of contrasting views of survival and safety.
Yes. Yes. Which is in many ways exactly what we are experiencing in our reality, in one dimension. That is exactly the same apparent separation that is the overwhelming presence of our time. Is that there's about half of us seem to want one thing, and the other half of us seem to want something else.
Yeah.
In terms of those of us who are conscious of wanting, and yet there are those who are so consumed by the need to survive in the way that the very nit-grit organic needs to survive, no water, no food. The thoughts of things that we are talking about are not their concern, and yet they are, even in their numbers, they are the majority of people who either don't have a way, or don't see a way, or don't care about a way, or don't have the energy to think about a way to do something to create a future that is desirable. They don't have that urge. They seem, I don't know who they are, except that they is also who I am. So
yeah,
I'm just, it just seems like what's in the book is in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard to read this in the time of COVID-19, for sure. Like just another example of her premonitions, her prescient writing. But yeah, like the urge to survive, the urge to be well, the urge to make things better, right? Like that's compelling. So if you're in the chat, here's like part 2 of the exercise. Look at the word that was chosen by the person after you. So pretty brown reader, that would be Geraldine. So your new word would be awaken, right? And just in the chat, just enter like a sentence about Octavia E. Butler using the word of the person after you. Okay. And if you're the last person to have put in a word, then your word would be Alicia's word, which is touch. Okay, so let's see what people have chosen. So pretty brown-eyed reader, you chose touch, which you were talking about, Carolyn, right? Like there's so much about touch here, which is like, that's one of the things that just got me in terms of COVID-19. Awaken. And yeah, feel free to comment on any of them. I'm just gonna run through them. Running. Yes, I know it's gonna happen. I'm just not there yet. But there's just like, when do you run? When do you leave? Well, and also like, if you're a risk, do you still, is it selfish to run, right? If you know you're a risk, if you know you're gonna, your sense of survival is gonna cause other people harm, right? Passion. So many of her characters are in captivity in some way. Like there's so much captivity in her writing.
Yes. And escapes. Captivity and escapes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
much.
Distance. Animal. There's a bunch of animals. I'm going to run into something, I guess. Hey, Sarah. Arc. Isolated. Threatened. And so wild that it takes place, yeah, in 2021 as well. So if you'd like to do part 2 of the exercise, choose the word that was chosen by the person right after you, and just write one sentence about Octavia E. Butler. So when we've talked about this in other lives, in other slow read along videos, we were talking about biblical references in her work, and the, you know, I know that she studied religions and was fascinated by them. And I think she was fascinated by them from a number of different perspectives, including how they cause people to organize themselves, and as one example. So I was wondering about the use of the term arc here, and I mean, and what you might be making of it at the point that you're at in the book.
The biblical reference, Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, to survive the flood, and that's to repopulate a world that's clear of the debris. Apparently, they couldn't get in the ark, or didn't want to get in the ark, or didn't believe the ark was necessary. If you go with the story, as the story.
Right.
So I find myself wondering, this is a different kind of ark, and the people who are surviving are different people. They're not 2 by 2. They are something else. What does that mean? So that throws the biblical reference out of, it's gone. It no longer fits.
It's like she's riffing off of it, maybe.
Yes. Oh, for sure. But the idea of it as an incubus, so to speak, a place where a group of people, a group of entities, a group of life forms will inevitably interact and expand into the rest because they must. That in that sense, the ark is totally fitting. The Ark of the Covenant, the Ark, Noah's Ark, all of those references,
Yeah.
totally fitting. And what's in the Ark of the Covenant? Now that I think about it,
I don't know my Bible. So.
I don't either, really. I mean, I studied it a lot because I was raised that way. But basically, there's a lot to unbundle there in terms of OEB's choice of the word ark as the representation of that space where something is being born.
Yeah, and also it being the name of the ship too, right? Like, I hope at some point we see the connection to clay,
Yes.
But that being Clay's ark, like, you know, everybody died except for one person. Mm-hmm. So really the demolition of the people was actually in the inside of the ark as opposed to the outside of the ark. Right. So like, right. which is an interesting, like turning inside out the story.
Yeah.
So far, because it didn't keep them safe. Right. It was supposed to, but it didn't. But in the Bible, it did. So anyway, mm-hmm. that's interesting to me. So let's look at some of the word engagements. So people are trying to awaken to what is going on around them in the novel. I like that.
Yeah.
Isolated. A lot of the groups of people she writes about are isolated. OMG, her description showing running throughout part 1 has me anxious still. Mm-hmm. Running away from the infected running towards each other.
Mm.
Yes. OEB's writing reveals the animal instincts of humanity. Yep. Octavia's use of distance doesn't always matter in the Patternit series. That's a really good point. Mm-hmm. The most dominant character seems to always have a way to cut that distance off with some type of tracking. Come on, Jersey fam. Come on. Okay. I like that, dropping the knowledge. I like that a lot. I want to use that as a journal prompt, actually. I really like that. OEB is a keen observer of deep aspects of humanity, especially our most animal-like traits. Yes. And Octavia's characters have a strong connection through touch. Anyanwu to heal, Dora to joy, to kill, Daniel to someone through time.
Beautiful. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Draw that line. Yes. Thank you.
I love that.
Yes.
I really love that.
I do.
Community, this is good. Okay. So how much time do we want to spend on the next sprint?
Seems like 30 is a good choice.
Sounds good. Okay. And then for the third sprint, we can leave it to the chat's choice. See what people want to do. I will find 30-minute timer here. Oh, I'm still thinking about, those are some amazing responses though.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I really love that. We might want to do something like that in the live show. That's pretty cool. That was nice. Okay, let's find some more of the jellyfish, since that seems to be what we're doing. And share the screen. We'll pick up the other contributions after our 30-minute sprint, because I know they're still kind of rolling in. Can you see it, Carolyn?
I can see.
Okay. It's the silly commercial, so hold on.
Yes.
Okay, skip ads, and then.
Yes.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Happy reading, everyone. See you in 30 minutes. Okay. Where are you at?
Astonishment.
Astonishment.
Present 14.
Okay. I am kind of catching up, kind of. I just finished present 11, so I'm starting present 12. No, just finished past 11, starting present 12. Yo, this is wild. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to ask folks a question. So while you're thinking of the question you want to ask people, I'm just going to read some of the remaining sentences that we didn't get to before the break. Okay, so Maria French says, oh yes, everybody tell us where you're at. OEB seems to give us characters that repeatedly have passions and desires that they don't want and can't always control. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeed. Annika, this book is almost the anti-Lilith's Brood, in which humans are banned from touch. Interesting. I didn't even think of, oh, that's amazing. That's very interesting. That's very, 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 very intriguing. Cool. And so where are people at? Past 13, halfway through present 14, present 14, present 14, present 14. Nice. And starting past 13. Cool. All right. So, Carolyn, do you have a question for folks?
Yeah, I'm torn. I'm trying to think now, which of these questions would I really prefer to hear people answer?
You don't have to choose. You can do both.
Okay. The first one that came to my mind is the one that was a follow-up to the discussion we were having a moment ago, having to do with touch. To ask people to comment on the role that touch plays in their conscious world today, in this period of social isolation and limited contact with others, especially. How has touch been affected in your life?
So how has touch been affected in your life? Can I start?
Please.
I notice how often I want to touch people because I can't do it. So I just notice, like, sometimes not so much now because we've been in it for a year, but early on, I noticed when I would reach for someone or like a full body, like, oh, I'm about to hug you. No, I'm not. Right. So that has impacted me. And I've had to use like other strategies to convey affection. Right. So things like using words or gestures or things like that, or like gazes or smiles or tone to convey affection. So that's how it's impacted me. What about you?
So it's enhanced some of your other senses, or certainly enhanced your use of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's striking. Well, I have become. It's not fair to say I've become, because in truth I've been this way probably all my life, but I've been hypersensitized to the values and the need for touch, for intimate, casual, caring, affectionate touch. And I'm struck by how we will be able to reconnect with one another without that, because I don't see that is possible. It seems to me that we become human because we touch. If we do not touch, we do not become human. There are probably other things one could say that about, but touch is critical. Okay, it's the basic thing. So I feel very deprived in some ways, and very troubled by that deprivation.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly in that it's not something that I can do anything about right now.
Yeah.
Nor have I been able to do anything about it for a year. So that's how I feel about it.
Yes, I hear you loud and clear. I was talking to somebody who was saying that who just got a kitten, and she was talking about the illicit ways she had to find and purchase this kitten, because all animals are hard to find right now if you're a pet person. And she's like, I never thought that I would do a kitten deal in the dark of night in the middle of a park, but there I was getting my little Muffy in exchange for an envelope of bills, and I was like, wow.
That's deep.
Yeah. Let's see what others have to say. In Wild Seed and Mind of My Mind, the characters were threatened if they didn't obey. Yeah. I agree, and Jerry, I have to restrain my touch instincts around people not in my bubble. Yes. Yes. So we'll wait and see. I'm sure we're going to get some other comments of how the absence of touch or limited touch has impacted people in the age of COVID-19. What do you think? A question for you and also a question for the chat. Oh, you had another question. What was the other one you wanted to ask?
It has to do with her use of the terms past and present.
I was actually going to ask a question about that. So what was your question?
Well, I hadn't fully formed it as an expository thing, but it strikes me that present meant present at different times of the present, as similarly in the past. So what she's doing there is, where am I?
Yeah, because it's all written in the present tense, which is interesting. My question about the timelines, like it seems to me that the timelines could intersect at some point. I wonder if we're going to get a future chapter. Like, I wonder what's going to happen with that. So that's something that I was curious about. And I was getting kind of lost in between past and present, and not getting too fussed about it. Right. And it actually took me a while to realize that some of the characters were the same people. Like, I was like, oh, wait, I saw that name a chapter ago. Oh, cool. Oh, I see what's happening. That was really interesting for me.
Several times I had to go back and reread. Like, wait a minute, where did that first show up?
Yeah.
And now I get it.
And I feel like she's probably buried some Easter eggs on either side of the timeline where, something interesting that happened in the past will be connected to something in the future. And what's that going to look like, right? Like, how does she decide which part of the stories from each timeline and how much of those stories she will tell in each chapter? Yeah, she is so economical with words, and she's such a masterful storyteller. And you know what? It's so, her world Clay's Ark's world is so sparse, right? Like, it's right now it's pretty sparse, and I'm kind of into that. So let's see. I literally was thinking of this as I am reading Present 14. I'm not a touchy-feely person normally, but I do crave it now. Yeah. I am an introvert and feel like I was built for times like these, and being in isolation, but at the same time, it showed me how much I actually touch people pre-COVID. I kind of crave it now. Yeah. Yeah. However, the normal unthinking of reaction to touching people now has a very clear second guessing needed. Yeah. And you have to second guess in order to not offend folk. Yeah, for sure. I'm curious as to how for those in the chat, how are you feeling? Look who's here. Hi, Tati. So I'm wondering for people how they're feeling about the multiple timelines, and or the two timelines, and how is it feeling seamless? Which do you prefer, Carolyn?
What do you mean? Which present or past?
Yeah, like which story, which community, which plot line seems more interesting to you, or
they're both equally fascinating.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I see them beginning to come together.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that moment when yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Same, Tamara. What did Tamara say? Oh, right. Okay. And hey. Okay. So it is 8:30. It's half past the hour wherever you are. Who's this? You love both timelines. Cool. So what do we want to do for our last sprint? Let's ask, we said we would ask the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're answering your questions on your preferred timeline, whether you like past or present or both or neither, please in the chat set out how much time you would like to read for our last sprint. Both timelines are intriguing, but I like the present one more. I wonder what I would say. You know, I like origin stories. So I like beginnings, I think there's mystery in beginnings. And so I'm preferring the past.
Mm.
And I love stories where people are coming into their own identities. You know, whether it's they're becoming a superhero, or they're realizing in this case that they're infected, and so they have to tend with the new compulsions and instincts within them.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, somebody wakes up in the middle of the desert and doesn't know how they got there, and they're kind of coming into terms with that. Like, I like that coming into terms, dealing with change, discovering and coming to terms with change. I like those kinds of things. Okay. 30. Both but prefer past. 30. I prefer the past at this time, but I'm reading for convergence. Got you. We're getting a lot of like depth today. I'm enjoying that. Great. I think it's you.
Great.
Present is making me more anxious because of the risk of worldwide contagion.
Yeah.
No lies detected. Past already went through that. Fair. Past is frustrating, especially the process of explaining the disease, the omission of info, and wait and see how you will feel soon. Yes. Oh, and speaking of which, I have to say that in the past, the Eli of the past was giving me Doro vibes.
Except he had feelings.
Yes. I mean, not like, it wasn't a full map onto Doro, but like the whole, like, I'm going to do a thing, and I'm going to watch all y'all. It's all non-consensual, and I'm just going to like watch it happen. 20. Should we stop if we reach part 3, since that's the next Friday's planned reading? This is always the question. So you can read whatever you like, and as fast or as slow as you like. What I would like is if you waited, but that's just me, and those are my needs, not yours. So do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. And I'm also saying this as somebody who's catching. I'm catching up, but 25 minutes. That's because Eli is Rachel's Eli from Mind of My Mind, right? That's because Eli is Rachel's Eli from Mind of My Mind. Is that? Oh boy. Now I have to go back and connect them because I don't actually remember Eli from Mind of My Mind that much. Interesting. You love this background, and yes, Dora vibes from Eli. I just can't help but scratch you, and I'm gonna watch you catch it. Perfect. You're finished. I finished, y'all. Yes, definitely do what you want. Okay, so it looks like most people were saying that they wanted 30 minutes. Let's see.
Except we don't have that.
Right, we don't have that at this time. Yo, I didn't even make that damn connection. I know, Jersey Femme is coming with like dropping the pearls of wisdom today. I think we are 50 years ahead, aren't we? Isn't Mind of My Mind in the 70s? Who even knows? Who knows? That's what I thought about Eli. Well, I mean, it is a name, common name, and all of these are biblical names: Eli, Rachel,
Mary.
I don't know about Blake. Well, obviously not Blake, but like I know we're gonna find a Noah at some point. Okay, everyone. So yes, as Carolyn pointed out, we don't have 30 minutes, but we could do. Let's do 25.
That's all there is.
Oh, let's do 20.
Okie dokie.
We were just chatting too long. Okay, I'll find. Sorry, everybody. I was like, what do you want? We're not going to do it. Okay. Sure, we cannot do them. We cannot take them into consideration. 20-minute timer, and this will be our final one for the day. And let's just get the Peloton commercial sorted. Peloton is like everywhere. Everybody's at home, buy stuff. Okay. All right, everyone. Happy reading. See you in 20 minutes.
Great.
Okay. How are you?
Well, I'm at the stopping point, thinking about additional research that needs to be done between now and then.
Yeah.
Next Friday.
So where are you at now?
Part 3.
Just starting it or in it or?
Just turn to the page that says Part 3.
Oh, cool.
Where are you?
I am 2 pages short of finishing the chapter 13. So then I only have 1 more chapter to go before I get to part 3. So that's great.
Yes.
I know I want to be impeccable with time. So we have 3 more minutes before we are released into our Fridays. So let's see what folks have to say. Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw that. Didn't know that. Okay, so yeah. Mm-hmm. Because in the first few chapters, oh, right, yes. This is the Eli and Rachel connection.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And right. Then Jersey Femme is saying, this disease is creeping me out 100%. 100%. So the last question that I'd like to ask people in the last 1 second, if you could introduce a tool into the story, right? And it can be anything. It could be a physical tool, an emotional tool. If you could introduce a tool into the story, what would it be? You don't have to overthink it. Yeah.
My answer.
What's yours?
Music.
Yes.
Some way of using music that is integral to what happens.
Yes.
Or doesn't.
A hazmat suit.
Ward off.
always practical. Let's see what others have to say. A tool. Interpret that an antibody. Yep.
That's a funny word, antibody.
Yes, it is. It is. It really is. Let's see what we're getting. A vaccine. Yes, music missing. Meditation.
That's a good one.
That's a really good tool. A mask. Cool. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. And as more comments are coming in, I'll put them up. But Carolyn, I want to thank you very, very much for one of those Star Wars guns, for joining and bringing your radiance and your voice to the slow read today. So thank you very much for agreeing to come and read and all of that. And thank you to everybody who joined in the chat. This was so much fun. I feel like, I don't know, like as we get deeper and deeper into the slow read, I just feel really like connected through the book and through the journey. And so it's really nice. Like I find myself thinking about like what's it going to be next and and all of that. So yes. So bless up for everybody, and hope everybody has a really wonderful rest of the Friday and into the weekend. Yes, a great way to spend Friday evening. Grateful to you both. All right.
Absolutely delightful. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Thank you too. All right, everyone.